Welcome to C Programming Tutorials. This is a production of YouTube channel Learnorama and the Facebook page Awesome C Programming Tutorials in High Def. In this tutorial, actually, we are learning about how to open a file and close a file. This is being continued from the previous video. If you haven't watched that video, please do watch it before you continue on with this one. The link to that tutorial is on the screen right now. So just click on it. Okay. So we were actually talking about the different modes that you can actually open a file. If you don't specify B, you can open it. All these modes are for text file, and if you specify B, then you are opening the file in the binary file. Text file, the difference between text file and the binary file is the text file is the file that you can print the contents of on the screen or on the file or on the printer or whatever. And not on the file, but on the printer or whatever, and you can read that file. That's called a text file. If you have a file that has all the garbage characters when you print it, that's a binary file. So for now, we will be basically dealing with only the text files. Okay, the files which have characters that we can read and understand. Right. So let's see if we open. So if you want to open a file in the write mode, for example, a brand new file, remember this W would actually result in, let me see if let's put it in comments. We have been, I probably told you about the comments, single line comments. Okay, no, I haven't even talked to you about comments at all. So let's see. The comments are actually the lines that compiler ignores. So you can write whatever you want in there. Okay, so these lines I wrote it for myself. If I leave it in the program, it's gonna be a problem. The compiler, won't be able to compile the program. So I have to tell the compiler to ignore these lines, and the way to tell it to ignore these lines is use these two characters / and star, and these two characters to end it. So this becomes a block of lines that the compiler totally ignores. The other way to make it ignore something is by using two slashes, and then you can write whatever you want, and the compiler will totally ignore it. The difference between these two is that this has a start and an end, and it can be on multiple lines. This has to be only on one line. Okay, we can use these things to actually document our program. For example, you can say open the file so that whoever is reading your program can understand what you are trying to do here. Okay, so let's see. So once you will open a file in W mode, which means this mode, which means that you open a file if for only write, no read, and if the file does not exist, it will create new one, and if the file exists, it will delete it and create a new one. So you will lose all the data that already exists in this file. So, and then at this point, after a successful execution of this statement, P file should have the pointer to the file descriptor. Now, if there has been some error, which means that suppose the file, for whatever reason, if the file does not exist, this mode will actually create it. Okay. But for whatever reason, for example, suppose if you specify the path here that does not exist, okay? In my computer, there is no path called path, okay? So this path does not exist. It will actually fail in opening the file, and then it will return a null. So it's a good idea to check to make sure that file is not null, and this is how you do it, okay? So before you do anything to process this statements to process the file, okay, before you do any of those statements, you should check if the file is null or not. And if it is null, it's always a good idea to actually I hate this editor. To actually print a statement saying that could not open the file. Alright, so see, and here is where all the processing of this file is gonna happen. Alright, and right now we don't know how to do further processing. All we know is that how to open a file, but as we will learn, this is where we are going to write all the code where we will process that file, because obviously this point we know that the file was actually successfully opened. If the file is not successfully opened, we should say could not open the file. Okay, so once you are done opening the file, you are supposed to do what is called closing the file. Okay, you should always close your file when you are done with it, and the way to close the file is use fclose function. And fclose function actually takes one parameter. Can you guess what it is? You have to close a file, so it should take the file parameter, something that specifies the file. And if you are thinking that you should put the name of the file here, you are wrong, because as I said before, that fopen actually returns a file pointer, and fopen is the only function that takes the file name. Once the file is successfully opened, all the other functions actually refer to this pointer. Okay, you have to use this pointer in all the other functions, because this pointer is pointing to file descriptor, which actually describes the entire file. It has the file name, it has all the other necessary things which we don't even know about, and we don't even care. This is what the file descriptor is, file, but we have no idea what it is, and we don't care. That's the beauty of the structured programming. So see, this file hides all this information for us. Okay, information hiding in the real life and daily life may not be a very good thing, and sometimes it is a good thing also in the real life as well, but in programming it's a very good thing. You don't want to expose the things that you don't have to. Okay, that way it keeps things simpler. Imagine if you had to know about all the things that go on into in opening this file. It's going to be very complicated, because all the operating system stuff is in this file descriptor here. But you don't even have to know about all these things, because you have to open a file. You should say open a file. That's it, and it should do it, right? That's the concept here. All right. So, but the thing is that once you open the file, when you are done processing it, obviously right now we don't know how to do all this processing. You have to close the file. So you close the file like this, and you pass the descriptor, and this will close the file. Very simple. Now, closing file is not too critical. If you forget it, when your program is going to exit, the file will be closed by the operating system. The operating system will close it. But it's always a good idea to close it yourself when you are done. Now, remember, after you close this file, you cannot use pfile without reopening it, without doing another call to fopen. You know, unless you do a call to fopen, you cannot use pfile here. You cannot start processing the file at this point here. Okay, remember that, because now after you close the pfile is not pointing to any valid location or any valid file descriptor. So you have to make sure that when you are done using the file, for sure, at that point you close the file. All right. So this is how you open the file. This is how you make sure that the file was opened successfully, and this is how you close the file. So this concludes the opening and closing file tutorial. I hope you learned from it, enjoyed it, and if you really liked it, please give a thumbs up, and if you do not like it, you can give a thumbs down also, and give me some comments, feedback. I always appreciate them, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much.